Hi there, feeling a bit stiff and feeling a bit achy, a bit immobile, well, you're in the right place. If you actually got an injury, maybe not. I'm Alex Watson, CEO and Clinical Director at Orthopaedic Consultancy, and I've just finished my last stretching session and we're going to move on to the hardcore people that have got a foam roller. These foam rollers are amazing, they're like a mallet, they absolutely knock stuff bandy. So actually they're very powerful, but you've got to be careful, got to use it in the right way. So if you've got an injury, you've got a problem, DM me, call me. Don't do it if you don't know what you're doing. Only use it under instruction, or you don't have an injury, you just got an immobility problem. If you're one of our patients and you know what you're doing, this is an ideal place for you to be, because you can use this to sort of augment or add to what you do with us, especially if we've been in those virtual sessions helping those guys virtually and they know all about the use of the foam roller, and this is a great place for you to do it. So if you've got an injury, then DM me. Otherwise, if not, if you're just immobile, a bit stiff, or you're one of my patients, give me a thumbs up if one of my patients, or a love or a care, then that'd be great. Otherwise, everybody else, you should be going off and DMing me if you've got an injury. But all my patients, everyone that's just a bit immobile, we're going to use the foam roller to free up our shoulder joint. So we've done stretching. It's a great thing to do with the shoulder joint complex, the GH joint, the glenohumeral joint, to allow the shoulder to mobilize. So you stretch it to start with. There's a great place to start. What I wouldn't recommend is using a foam roller straight away. Stretch it first, it just gets it mobile, gets it moving, and then we can use foam roller second. So we're going to target the same muscles I've just stretched, but what we're going to do is do them in in the same sort of order, but one slight difference. But we're going to do pec muscle first. This shoulder muscle is really important for our position of our shoulder, where we've got this round position. And as I was saying in the last session, round shoulders often cause upper back problems, neck problems, headaches, rotator cuff problems, upper extremity problems. So the shoulder joint really is about orientation of the arm or the hand. The only major reason that you've got a shoulder is so that you can move your hand around. So these type of movements in a great position for your shoulder, being in a neutral position, is great. Where we don't want it is here. The rotator cuff's in a really bad place and will work very hard. So repositioning, as you know, what I love to know is why you've got the problem, and if we can get to the why, then often we can help the problem. If you're just going to batter things because they're sore, you're probably going to make things worse. So for everyone that knows what they're doing and they're just feeling a bit immobile, let's get going and let's do some stretching for your pec. So depends how hardcore you are. I love hardcore, so use the knobbly bits. But if everyone's feeling a bit sore in that area, then maybe using the foam roller, the smooth part. And we're going to do this up against the wall in a running track stance. So let me get to the wall here. So you need a wall. And so you're going to have a running track stance where your feet are at about 30 degrees to the wall with our left foot forward, and then we're going to use this coming out the front of our armpit and rotating it towards our elbow, our knee. So we've got a knee. This is the chin. So in this position here, so that you're in the right orientation across the pec muscle. In this position here, we don't want it too flat. We don't want it rolling that way. So a good way of doing it is put it in the armpit and rotating it towards the chin, and it's in a perfect place. And then we're going to shoulder barge the wall. So as we do it in this position here, we're going to shoulder barge the wall like a running track stance, shoulder barge into the wall, and we've got that pec muscle pinned into the wall against the foam roller. Really strong position. You're going to keep pushing in at this position like you're shoulder barging the wall. And you're just going to charge that wall, and you can feel a very strong inhibition into that pec muscle. And you're going to hold that same position. We're not trying to roll it, we're just trying to inhibit it. It will be painful to do foam rolling, but if you're feeling actual pain in the shoulder joint itself, then probably it's not a good idea to be doing. If it's just a bit immobile, great. Actual injury, you might not be doing the best thing for you. You're going to keep that pressure on. Now, to get a cycle through this, what you need to do is actually make sure you hold it until it starts to drop and then plateau or disappear. So everyone that's been doing my virtual appointments, if you're out there, give me a thumbs up for my patients, or I type in Alex's. And so we're holding that position. So we keep going on that area, and then we're going to add on an extra lever. So in that position, to stretch the muscle, we lift our arm up. So we're into the wall here, and then you're going to slowly put our arm up so that our elbow is above our shoulder. So it just adds an extra lever on to make it a little bit stronger. And you feel a really nice strong pressure in here. What we don't want to feel is nipping in the capsule or the rotator cuff, because that gives you an indicator that things aren't all well and good in that shoulder joint. I need to talk to us. So you're going to keep holding that pressure until you feel it plateau or start to ease. That's brilliant. And I can feel that kind of slowly starting to ease. So we've done the slightly lower part of the pec, and then we're going to just go up a little bit higher towards the apex. So if you're in that position, what you can do is leave it on the wall and just roll it up. So if we're in here, we just either roll our body down, or you just roll the cylinder up, the roller up, and then you just keep the pressure on. And you can feel a nice strong pressure in there, and it will slowly start to ease. This can take between 15 up to 45 seconds. Just listen to your body, listen to what it's telling you, and just keep chasing it until you don't feel like it's helping anymore. Nice strong pressure. That's great. Looks good, lovely, and then you're going to back off. So I felt like that was plateauing. So that's on the right, on the left shoulder. We're going to do the same on the right, so you can see a different angle. So we're at 45 degrees again. We're going to do running track stance. Most people find the inside leg to be better to do, but sometimes people prefer the other way round. So they might have their feet like that. Most people find it's better to have it on the inside. Again, depends on how hardcore you are, spiky or smooth. Let's go spiky. And then we're going to shoulder barge that wall there. And put the pressure on. I've had a cut by my wife here, my haircut here. My barber's never told me I've had any problems at the back here. She's taken a massive dent of hair out there, so if that doesn't grow back, I'm afraid Sharon's going to get in trouble there. So get a nice pressure on here, and you can feel a nice strong pressure. And then we're going to lift our arm up. Let's reposition again, hold that pressure on, making sure our elbow's high enough. We don't have that low where the shoulder joint is vulnerable. Up here, it will be painful to do, but it will be painful where you're putting the pressure on. If it's too much, rotate it round to the smooth part. Keep the pressure on. If you haven't done this before, I'd definitely do the smooth part. And as that starts to loosen, we're going to roll up again. So you're going to roll the roller up the wall, or you can just drop your body down. Depends on what you like to do. And hold that in. And you feel a nice strong pressure through there. And then, yeah, and you feel it really strong. If you want to make it super strong, you can just push your hand up even higher, and it really starts to pull through some of the more fascial components of the shoulder. Good, and keep holding it on until you feel it plateau. That's good. So we're arbitrarily doing a very large bit of muscle into two sections. It's quite a large area you're using. So, you know, it's up to you where you do it, but it should be somewhere in the realms of kind of across here, and the second one slightly higher up, and you can use your arm as extra leverage to reinforce to make that exercise a bit stronger. Now, the next one's the teres muscle. It's a very, very powerful exercise. There are two different ways of doing it. I'm going to show you the softer one against the wall to start with. It's this muscle around the side here, which is really important for our internal, external rotations of our upper extremity, so as part of our rotator cuff. This muscle is two parts to it that do these types of movements. We want to make sure that we keep that nice and mobile. Again, either you're going to do the bumpy bit or the smooth bit, it's up to you. So we're going to put our arm in this position, put our finger, if you've got one of these foam rollers, between them, and that'll make sure you orientate the knobbly bit or the foam bit to the right spot, like that. So I'm going to do the knobbly bit. So arm up at 45, foam roller at 45, and it's going to sit across this line here, just round where your armpit is. Sometimes you can wrap it round so you know you're in the right place, you're not too low on the side of your thoracic cage. You're going to go up into the shoulder joint. In this position here, and then you're going to lean into the wall, and you can feel that pressure. You can then rotate. If you're in that position, you're holding pressure straight across. That's really effective. It's quite good if you're struggling with your mobility as far as sort of laying down or getting on the floor. On beds, it doesn't really work laying on your side. This one's quite a good option for you. And then as that loosens, I'm going to just run through that, so you can just rotate and roll backwards slightly, so you can feel it more pressure around the side. So you can feel that really strong pressure around the side. Good? So those are the two standing. If you're enjoying that one, carry on. But I'm going to show you one laying now. So I'm going to do laying down. Foam roller again. We're going to put knobbly bits or non-knobbly bits. So we're going to lay down. I'm going to put you down here. So I'm going to put, lucky that I've got a plinth and that holds it steady, but you know, there we go. Hold it in this position here. And we're going to literally do the same as we did before. is you're going to put it in the same position. So hold it like that, and you're going to lay on your side. And you can feel really strong pressure now. This is not for the faint-hearted, this is very powerful. So you can leave it in there, and you can feel a very, 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 very effective inhibition technique. The old school way of doing it would be to do it against the, you can do it against the side of door frames years ago. And you feel a lot of pressure in there. It will be painful, but you shouldn't be getting pain in the shoulder joint itself. It should be just where the foam roller is. So you can hold that on there, hold and keep trying to relax in it. So you don't want to kind of brace yourself, and certainly the muscle shouldn't be quivering. If it's quivering, it's panicking because it might be getting damaged, or it's holding on for a different reason. If you don't understand why you're feeling it, then it's probably not a good idea for you to do. Lots of people will bash muscles of joints and free them up without understanding why the muscle's tight. If we don't understand why, just freeing it up can cause a lot of trouble. So chasing symptoms often ends in problems. What we need to do is understand why the muscle's tight. If we can't get that story, then we won't be able to help get those right muscle groups that are going to help you. So the second one, to do the same thing, is just to raise your arm up higher. So that adds an extra lever, so it makes it a bit stronger, holding in this position again. So as you're holding this position, you'll feel it kind of get tighter and tighter, and you can just roll slightly forward, but the one that most of us will feel is rolling slightly back, and you'll just drop onto a slightly different section of the muscle that we're working on, the teres minor and teres major. And that will be very, very powerful. As I said, so we need to understand why the teres muscle's tight. So as we're loosening this off, it's going to really help that mobility through the shoulder. But if the shoulder's lacking stability, then this might not be very helpful. If you're very strong and tight through these areas, or you're one of my patients, then I will have been telling you to do it because there's a good reason for it. We understand why the muscle's tight. So I can feel that loosening off again, so I'm going to rotate again slightly more. And as you do this, basically you're going down the side of the shoulder blade, so, the outside of the shoulder blade, the scapula. So, and if you're feeling like you're in the wrong place, what you can sometimes do is just kind of roll up slightly and reposition. I don't want you to roll in backwards and forwards. I just want you to hold steady. That way you cause less inflammation. If your neck's starting to hurt or something like that, you can, I was thinking about a lady yesterday, we just put her arm like that. It does take the exercise strength, so she might remember who she is. So in this position here, and then arm down straight if you can do it. And then if you want to, you can drop your neck down to take the pressure off. Good. And you feel that nice and loose, and loosen that up. Good. Good. So we've got the other side to do now. So we're going to do the same again. I'm going to use the knobbly bit again. In the same position, we're going to lay on our side, bringing our arm up, making sure we've got that orientation correctly. Thumb between the two if we're looking for the knobbly bits. You'll see the knobbly bit on the other side. Want the smooth part, then you orientate with the smooth part in there. I go for the hardcore one. In that position there, laying on our side. Just leaving our arm down to start with, so that you can feel that pressure in there. No comments about the bald part that Sharon's to blame for cutting too much hair off. These COVID haircuts that everyone's been getting. Everyone says it looks great from the front, but not so good from the back. And no comments about my haircut, I can just imagine now. Good. And then we're just going to, as that's loosening, I'm going to lift my arm up. And I'm just going to loosen it there again. So just going to let that lay and relax into it. So you're going to try and drop into it as much as you can. You don't want to kind of hover off it. You want to drop into it as much as you can. This is really strong. You've got to get the orientation through that outside between the shoulder and the scapula, that angle between the two. And as that starts to loosen, we're just going to roll onto my back slightly, and that's a lot different. You can look at where you put your hand as you rotate. Everyone's hand sits in a different orientation, so that has a different effect on your rotator cuff. So what you can do is just rotate your shoulders slightly, and you can feel somewhere slightly different inside the teres muscle here. So I'm going to rotate my thumb out and roll back onto it a bit more. If I take my thumb off, it eases a bit. So as I'm just putting more pressure on it, rolling onto it, that's really, really, really strong. Now, if you've got instability in shoulders, this is a terrible idea. You know, if you're not sure what you're doing, please contact us, because we don't want anyone out there hurting themselves, not doing the right thing. If you're one of my patients and I've been showing you this in the virtual appointments, these are very, very useful, and they will definitely be part of my regime of treatment for self-help for patients going forward. Good. And you can feel that loosen, and then you can just rotate over right at the end again. So these are slightly different sections of the same muscle group. It's very, very powerful, so be very careful. As I say, these foam rollers are like sledgehammers. They will hit something. It doesn't necessarily mean it will hit the thing you should be hitting. Good. That's great. Okay, and loosen off. Now, not for the faint-hearted. This stuff is very powerful. So we've done the pec muscle, and we've done both combinations of these teres muscles on the outside of the shoulder blade. We're going to do one last thing in the armpit. There's a muscle called Sub Scapularis that comes from the underside of the shoulder blade, comes through the axilla into the front of the shoulder here. It's quite often gets stuck very tight when pecs and teres are rounding our shoulders. So many of us suffer with this rounded shoulder position, which causes, as I say, a myriad of problems in your upper back and neck and shoulder. Working into the armpit, you can stretch it against a door, against a wall, kind of like a pec stretch, but lunging with your armpit into the wall. That's the stretch part of it. I'm going to do this part to just inhibit the subscapularis muscle. It's very powerful, I say, so you have to be careful. Any instability problems, it's not for you. So basically, be very, very careful with this. If you're not sure, PM me. So here we are in this position, laying on the front. And so what we're going to do is we're going to just use our armpit into the foam roller. So what you want to feel is like it's literally stuck in your armpit. Hold it in your armpit, and you're going to lay on top of it. And so what you're going to do is, if you're laying flat, you'll feel it won't be doing much. If you just rotate off like a half sideline position with your knee up and you're on your elbow, and you just drop onto it, and you'll feel a kind of a more of a burny sensation, because this area, there's a lot of gristle in that area. There's also lots of bits going through it. There's fascial tension as well. So if you've had any operations and scar tissue put in here, you have to be very careful what you're doing. If you have any lymph removed from the axilla, so I wouldn't be recommending that for those patients. If you had scar tissue in here before, it can be very painful. Can be good to do if you're under the right instruction. So as we're holding it on there, you can feel that burny settle down. So we're not really working so much on the muscle here. We're working on the gristly stuff, more of the tendons that have come out of the same muscle. And you're going to roll up a little bit more and hold it again. And you can feel a different sort of section of the muscle again that comes through the axilla. And that will really help free up. And these muscles come from the underside of the shoulder blade into the front of the shoulder. And often these get stuck in internal rotation, which rounds those shoulders again. So freeing up the subscapularis muscle is very effective doing it. It's very overlooked. Not many people realise about why that muscle's tight. So good. And then you're going to roll off that as you take it. Don't just lay on it and bounce off it, because that can make it very sore. Roll off it. And the same on the right side, in this position here. Arm up, so you're going to feel like it's in your armpit. Push it into your armpit, drop on top of it, stay flat, bring that left knee up, right on the left elbow, and then drive your armpit into that foam roller, and again it will feel burny. Quite common to feel burny. What we don't want to feel is that instability, any twinging inside the shoulder joint itself, because that means the shoulder is very unhappy, shouldn't be doing it, and certainly it shouldn't be quivering. If you're quivering a muscle when you're inhibiting it with a foam roller or doing a stretch, it means the muscle's panicking, and you should be backing off it because it's doing too much, or the muscle's trying to hold things together and you're trying to overpower it. So you can feel that kind of loosen off again. Again, the same, all foam rollers take about the same amount of time. It's really variable for each muscle and each person. So just hold it on and keep listening to what the muscle's telling you. Loosen it as it goes and listen to what it's telling you, so you make sure you don't cause yourself pain. So I can feel that loosen, so I'm going to just rotate onto it a bit more. Slightly different section of the muscle now. A bit more new burny. This is going to be the last one. So if you're my patients out there and you're enjoying the foam roller sessions with me live on a Saturday, hopefully these are really helping fill the gaps in between appointments. So if you're my patients, give me a write down Alex in the comments, and I'll give you a smile, or give me a thumbs up. These are great things to reinforce what we've been doing together. They're very, very powerful exercises, but make sure you do these things if you're sure you know what you're doing. Good. And that's loosened off. That's great. So, just to recap, what we've been doing today is we've worked on our pec muscle, teres muscle and sub scapularis, all around this reposition of the shoulder so that you can get it more neutral. What we don't want to see is shoulders down and forward, and say cause a lot of problems for your neck, shoulders and upper back, and bringing it back is much better for your neck, shoulders and upper back, and also obviously for the whole orientation of the hand. I really enjoy these sessions. I hopefully going to be playing golf next week, so we might have to move these on to later on in the day, so I'll have to see where I've got in the draw and get a game of golf next week. But I'm really enjoying this, and a lot of my patients are getting a lot out of it because it's really good reinforcement for what we've been doing in our virtual sessions. Been highly successful. Patients are amazed how good those virtual sessions are, and I am as well. It's amazing how creative you can be if you really want to help. So if you're enjoying these sessions and you want some help from me, then message me. I'm loving doing this on a Saturday, and I realise some of the people I'm actually helping, they've been messaging me directly and saying thanks very much for the help. Actually, some of my problems have started to resolve, and I really appreciate the effort. So if you're one of those people, then put a comment on there saying thanks very much for the efforts. Otherwise, everybody else, I'll see you next week. I don't know when it's going to be, depends whether I've got in the draw or not. So I'll see you next week from sometime next week in the afternoon. Stretch session first to get the muscles moving, and the second session is to do the foam rolling. Take care guys, have a good weekend. Bye bye.